Very, very deep questions indeed.
Yeah, and also don't forget
I'm
that
Cipher. I'm 23.
Mad
I'm
Catz
a
is
Hearthstone
also
player from the UK.
making.
Thank God. Huffer. Always roll Huffer. The creation of the universe. Faramir, because he's like 7 feet tall and a giant.
Hello, I am Thijs Mollendijk from the Netherlands, playing for Team Nihilum now and playing Hearthstone a bit more than a year now, and already have some good achievements and play a lot of Hearthstone. I think it is a nerf that is really gonna change the meta. I still think Hunter is really viable, but it makes it way it is just a huge nerf, and it is something that the meta was so dependent on the Undertaker that it is a really cool nerf. I like it. Control decks will get a bit stronger, and the meta will make changes. I would go for Misha. It is the safest pick, the best stats, a 4/4 on the board, never bad. I will go for Misha. It will be BlizzCon for me. I was so close to be there. Lost in the last round to Colento at the AU regional, so it felt really sad that I couldn't be there. So if I really wanted to be there. Okay, I would go for admirable. Like having a draft behind you, it feels really good, feels safe. I think I can need someone like him there.
All right, so the interviews here by the two players, some really interesting answers. Somebody wants to go back to the beginning of the universe, and Thijs a little bit more down to earth, just wants to replay his BlizzCon games. Oh god, and he's a part of Team Nihilum, which is a fairly recently formed team, and he's representing them in this tournament. I mean, I think there's life coach in the team. One of the I think it's one of the players that has changed teams a few times and has been really performing consistently in tournaments. So there's the Kungen, I think, founded in Nihilum. It includes RDU, very big name, Thijs himself, and life coach. So that's a really, really strong team.
Mm-hmm. There's also Lothar that's managing the team, I think.
True. I think he's mostly a manager as far as the team is concerned. Definitely in the team there. Which is kind of interesting because those are 5 players that have been gravitating, you know, they've been kind of floating around and they're finally consolidated. So right now on the screen you can see Cipher versus Thijs. You have the deck list. You have Cipher playing Druid, Paladin, Warrior, and Mage. And Thijs bringing his Druid, Paladin, Mage, and Warlock. So a very similar roster. The only difference is one is bringing a Warrior where the other one is bringing Warlock. Cipher banned Thijs' Druid and Thijs banned Cipher's Paladin. What do you think of these lineups and bans?
Well, I can see why you'd ban Druid because it's so good all around, and it's really hard to know what to expect. Like we talked about earlier, you never know if you have to expect one combo, 2 combos, or no combo at all, and you basically have to play around it as soon as you're under 20 HP.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, there's definitely it's definitely risky. I mean, Druid it's one of the most consistent classes, and I think that's largely due to Wild Growth and Innervate being what they are. It's really tough if they get a good ramp start, whether through Innervate or a permanent, you know, extra mana crystal of Wild Growth. It's always really tough to contest the tempo that they gain from that because, you know, Wild Growth, unlike Innervate, is not an immediate tempo gain, but it'll snowball very quickly if they get, you know, a curve play on turn. They Wild Growth turn 2, then they get a 4-drop, 5-drop, 6-drop, and that's usually what they try to go for. So dealing with that is very difficult.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think the Paladin ban makes a lot of sense if you're going to be playing if you plan to play some kind of Druid. Or, you know, if Thijs brought Handlock, then I guess banning Paladin as well makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Pally's became so strong with GBG. We haven't seen it for a really long time in the tournament scene. But now with Muster for Battle and Quartermaster, the tempo can swing so fast for Paladin, and there's also the heal bot that helps against aggro, so
Yeah.
it's also a class that's really hard to play against.
All right, so we're jumping into the game here, Thijs versus Cipher. So Thijs starts with his Warlock, and Cipher went with his Mage here. So we have Handlock versus what I have to assume is Mech Mage. I mean, Mech Mage is probably one of the, I guess, most standard lists right now. Since the nerf to Undertaker, I think Mech Mage got a massive boost, or it's at least one of the most favored aggro decks.
Yeah, it is so very strong. It can snowball so quickly, and they have sticky minions, and getting already 2 scientists here for Cipher is super good because that's gonna negate Ty's giant on turn 4.
Yeah. The ability to get those mirror entities very early can also be very important. Just because against Headlock, you're guaranteed to get some kind of value unless they drop Ancient Watcher or Ironbeak Owl just to bait the mirror entity. And I think Thijs is a player that commented on the value of Mech Mage. The only secret worth playing in a Mech Mage is mirror entity. So I think he'll know to expect it, or at least he'll think that, that's the only thing that gets played.
Yeah, definitely. But so he could he currently only has the owl that he can play to trigger that mirror entity, but he can silence the scientist, of course, to prevent the mirror entity. But since there's another scientist in Cypher's hand, he's gonna have to deal with it. And
Yeah, I feel like a really good play though is a Hellfire, right? You just hold on to Hellfire until you can wipe the board, and maybe then play Ironbeak Owl on something that comes out.
Yeah, but it's still very annoying to Hellfire against Mech Mage because most of the time you won't clear everything, because of the 4 HP minions, and yeah, the Shredders that replace themselves, and then you have the Blast Mage that doesn't die.
Yeah.
Or the Yeti, and also you deal 3 damage to your face, and against Mech Mage, where you're already afraid of burn, Hellfiring twice is giving a free fireball to Mage.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the Thijs right now. He's actually thinking whether, I mean, he has to tap just because of the card advantage if he doesn't play the Ironbeak Owl. Alright, and he opts for the Ironbeak Owl. Definitely doesn't want to give his opponent a secret off of the Mad Scientist. And Cipher actually top decks a mirror entity. Does he play 2 or just the 1, do you think? Because I know you have some experience with the Mech Mage. It's one of the decks that you play you've played quite a bit since GVG came out.
Yeah. I personally don't think running 2 scientists is worth it if you have only 1 secret. And just because if you draw it, then your scientists are pretty bad. I would expect Cipher to run 2 mirror entities, and I even like to run a counter spell on top of that. But
yeah, that could make a lot of sense. But Thijs is of the advice that generally speaking, counter spell. I mean, you could play it, but he thinks that you probably mostly want to be using mirror entity since you get such a huge tempo swing. Essentially, you get a minion with charge off of it, right?
Yep.
Since you can attack with it with initiative as a mage once you get it, where your opponent can't necessarily do the same. So that's really strong secret.
Yeah, that's totally right. And now I guess Dai is gonna Hellfire because he can't really do anything. But the big problem is that by Hellfiring, he can't play a minion anytime soon. He has to draw another crappy minion like the Owl. Like he doesn't want to Argus into nothing.
But I mean,
he
he might just end up having to, depending on what he has, because you really can't risk dropping down a Mountain Giant on this kind of board if you don't have. I mean, you can't possibly have an immediate answer to it, right? Like it's impossible.
Yeah, exactly.
And look at the hand of Cipher here. The Frostbolt going to allow him to stop any kind of big minion that gets dropped in order to snowball the current advantage. And I think Thijs might be forced to drop a Naked Defender. Or Hellfire again and hope it's not Counterspell. This just shows the strength of Mirror Entity, really.
Yeah. And even if it's Counterspell and it's not even Mirror Entity, now Thijs would skip his entire turn right now. And
I think he has to. It's too dangerous.
Yep.
I mean, you have to test for Mirror Entity, which also means that if it is Mirror Entity, then your Hellfire is even more effective. But in the case, because you expect to be attacked, right? Which means Molten Giant is likely to come out.
Yeah, but then you just lost your only taunter, which really stinks.
Yeah. But he's gonna find some more, right? Let's have faith.
Yeah.
You better believe. Oh goodness. I mean, this is a pretty straightforward turn for Cipher, I think.
Mhm.
Like that
And
Blast
let's-
Mage, and he
Huh.
decides not to.
Mirror
He
entity
is
to
playing
prevent it.
hard around that giant.
And I mean, I think I can agree because if you have 6 damage on the board every single turn, so you don't really need to add some more because if your opponent clears, then he clears whatever you have.
Mhm.
But if you by playing that mirror entity, you know your opponent played a taunter which he really didn't want to play last turn. So if you can force another hard choice like this out of your handlock opponent, then
Yeah, I think in general it's a
that's
pretty good
good.
line of play. It's a little less all-in than playing the Blast Mage and risking a board wipe. So
Yep.
I think you're right on that one. And the Hellfire here, I think you still have to drop the Sunfear Protector first to get everything out of the way with Mirror Entity. If it's Counterspell, then I guess tough luck for Thijs. I mean, that would be really problematic if it were. Can you imagine if he thinks it's Counterspell and doesn't play into it and just doesn't even bother Hellfiring? Now he has to
If-
Sunfear Protector.
Yeah.
This is so bad. I mean, it must feel bad. It's a good play, but it must feel terrible.
Yeah. But he did it right still. If it would have been counterspell though, he would have been in a really, really bad spot.
Oh,
But he's
the
still
mech
in a
top
terrible
deck. The
Oh,
mech
wow.
for the Blast Mage, 4 damage straight to the face. We have the Frostbolt. He can even time rewind that Blast Mage if necessary.
Yeah.
Although, that would give Thijs the ability to play Molten Giant Shadow Flame. Right now. If Thijs wants to, he can definitely do that. And then Cipher relies on Fireball top decks.
Yeah, but I
Or
mean,
even
Thijs,
Twilight Drake Shadow Flame next turn. If he
yeah,
wants to.
but
But he has
Thijs
to do it
doesn't
now.
want to do that. Like that's the thing, because by doing this, by forcing a clear, Cipher buys some time so he can actually draw that fireball. So what Thijs need here is to clear and to draw that heal bot as fast as possible, or to get to turn 9 with Jiraxis.
Yeah, Jiraxis is going to be a saving grace, I feel, at this moment. Like, he's realized that unless he finds some kind of Earthling Farseer anti-heal bot, and we've seen a lot of Earthling Farseers not getting completely phased out, but getting cut to one of sometimes in many handlock versions. So maybe he's only got, 2 heal bots and Jiraxis for healing purposes with Siphon
Yep.
Souls, but there's no target on the board. Wow, this must feel excruciating, but
Yeah,
You can't tap
Thijs
here.
definitely feels bad here, but if he's being keeping track, he knows that Cipher only has a single card. It's
Yeah.
actually it's not a spare part. So that
it's fine though. He can
That's wrong.
Twilight Drake and Shadow Flame again. If Cipher plays the Blast Mage on this empty board, then he's playing into Siphon Soul, right? He's playing into a lot of removal that the Warlock might have. And at the moment, Twilight Drake Shadow Flame, although it seems very weak, is probably going to be just enough to get Thijs the time that he needs to win.
Oh, what about
Oh,
this Belcher
wow.
though?
It's the play. I think it might be the play. But I mean,
Yeah,
what
in
else are you
any
going to use
case-
Twilight Drake on, though? Oh, this is
Yeah,
so
you-
terrible.
Well, in any
Ouch.
case, you die to Fireball, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
And-
definitely.
So I think this is better because then there's a slime to protect Jiraxis next turn, or to finish off the
Oh, wow.
last.
There's a slime to protect Jiraxis. I never thought I'd hear those words.
I mean, it's
So-
better than nothing.
Yeah. So, is this a turn where you're happy to kill the Belcher, play the Shredder, and then return the Blast Mage to your hand?
It
'Cause
it seems good. It seems good, but if you lose your mech, then you basically.
If you lose your mech, what does your opponent have, right? Because he had to Shadow Flame a giant. Like, what do you think he might have here? He's played 2 Hellfires. What could he possibly have to kill your Shredder right now?
He could have drawn Dark Bomb. That's the one thing, but he'd have to have drawn it.
Oh no! you jinxed him. Wow. Okay, that Jiraxis is sadly no help right now because you want to play it, but look at the amount of damage you leave on the board if you do so. So does he
Yeah.
have to consider other options?
He can. Yeah,
Twilight
he
Drake,
has. Yeah,
Shadow.
Drake hope for a crappy minion.
Yeah, hope for a Doomsayer even.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many top decks in Cypher's deck. I mean, another Frostbolt, that would do the job. Another Fireball. I mean, one Fireball. He hasn't seen any. An Archmage Antonitis just to get the Fireball.
Yeah, there are so many ways for Cipher to close the game off, but if he doesn't close it very soon, he might lose his edge here.
Oh goodness. Yeah, I think this is gonna be a Dark Bomb. It has to be on the Blast Mage though, isn't it? Yeah, it can't be on the Shredder because you're not really removing anything.
Yeah. I agree. It would have killing the Shredder would have been gambling on the fact that your opponent gets a minion with less than two attack.
Yeah, which is really unreasonable. It's not a really good expectation. I think the average is about 2 attack. I mean, the best you could hope for, something like a Novice Engineer, Captain Sparrowt, like, you know, the very low end of trashy 2-drops, but there's very few of those,
Yep.
so you really can't play around that.
But even
Alright,
then,
so-
we know that Cipher would have had lethal anyways.
Yeah. Actually, Cypher is really close to lethal regardless. Oh, he plays a Frostbolt on that Twilight Drake.
This is so
That's one
nice,
less
though.
out. This is... Do you Shadow Flame here? I feel like... Oh, Shadow Flame Loatheb prevents him from dropping any massive, you know, spare part play if he's got anything relevant.
Yeah,
You
so
can't
there would
Drax
only
this because you
be-
die.
I
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess Loatheb Shadow Flames the play because the board is going to be worse for Cipher next turn for sure. So you'd rather Jiraxis next turn and trade Loatheb into minions
Yeah.
right now. So, and you hope that Cipher doesn't top deck Fireball because that's the last turn where it's lethal.
Oh, Darrow Alfalfa, no help here for Cypher. It's an average minion and a Fireball!
Wow!
Oh, wow. And Loatheb not gonna help here. 9-mana Fireball says, whatever, man, I got 10, and down goes the Warlock. So, Thijs' Warlock, I mean, his plays were, honestly, I think, very, very, very good. Because, regardless of what happened there, with that specific play where he Shadow Flamed and Loatheb, if he'd played Jiraxis, he would have had to use it for removal, which meant he would have still died to the Fireball top deck. So, either way, the lethal that he would have been vulnerable to was, you know, Fireballs, Frostbolts. So, ultimately, even though it felt and seemed like a gamblish play, it still, I think, was optimal. Thijs definitely playing this super well.
Yeah, he played extremely well, but this is such a hard matchup because of the mirror entities. And I mean,
Yeah.
Thijs
What
had
do you
to play around both mirror entities. This is so hard for Handlock.
Yeah, I've heard about a few people actually commenting in the pro scene about Mirror Entity and how much they dislike secret play. I'm of the advice that secrets are somewhat problematic, especially when it comes to mages, because of the massive drawback of running into a counterspell, of running into a Mirror Entity. Like, it doesn't matter if you're playing a control deck, which of them you give them value with. Regardless, you're going to have to give them something, and you can't afford wasting a removal piece or a minion, or give them, you know, an 8/8 as handlock, for instance.
Yeah, exactly. The only real minion that you're happy, say, to get Mirror Entity as Handlock is the Owl, because
Yeah.
you don't want to waste your taunters like Thijs did. I mean, just imagine if Thijs could have taunted his Giants. He
Yeah.
would have been in such a great shape.
2 mirror
So-
entities, though, that's a bit too much. I mean, it's too much to deal with. He had to use the Sun Free Protector and even sacrifice it to his own Hellfire in order to make sure that there was no follow-up progression coming from Cipher. And I think in that one spot, Counterspell would have actually sealed the game, as opposed to Mirror Entity, oddly enough.
Yeah.
Not getting that Hellfire to do anything would have been so much better for Cipher. But he won
Yeah.
anyway.
I agree. The main backside of the counter spell is the coin, which is very, very
Yeah.
stupid.
It's
So
one
that's
of those
why
silly
I think it's getting cut most of the time.
Yeah, I can imagine that, because just having a coin will negate the counterspell. I thought with the, funny enough, you know, when Gallywix was announced, I thought the coin was going to be unspelled. You know, it was going to be something else than a spell, so that players could actually, you know, not trigger Gadgetzan Auctioneer, for instance. Just avoid the Mana Worm synergies. Just a lot of stuff that could have changed if the coin had become a non-spell card. I thought that was going to happen. So, next match, we have Mage from Cipher, Mech Mage again, against Paladin for Thijs. How do you think Paladin fares against the Mech Mage?
Seeing that Thijs has Coghammer, I think he should be doing pretty well because Coghammer is actually a really good anti-aggro card.
Yeah, I think it's. I really like Paladin's spot right now
Mhm.
in the metagame.
Yeah, and Thijs probably likes his hand right now. The
Yeah.
mini bot is so annoying to deal with.
It's all right. So I've been told by the admins right now that Cipher's friends list is currently bugged. If you haven't seen that recently, guys, I just want to let you know there is a bug on the on the Hearthstone spectator mode servers or whatever that just wrecks friends list. So it's all consolidated and it glitches so hard that you can't invite people to the game. So we're gonna have to make do without seeing Cypher's hand, which actually might be a bit interesting. Just having to try to guess how Thijs is gonna have to play around stuff.
And this Annoytron's very, very annoying. Does
Annoying?
a job for Thijs because
Yeah.
I mean Thijs could have traded with both minions, like killed one minion with his shield bot.
But he still gets a
his
really good
Diva,
turn here,
and
though.
Clogmaster. It's still pretty good.
Yeah, because
It's not
he
the
gains
best,
back
but-
the Divine Shield he lost, and then he gets the Coghammer, which is going to snowball advantage-wise, because the ability to attack 3 times with a 2/3, like you would think that Stormforged Axe, I mean Stormforged Axe is a good card, but I think the reason Coghammer is so strong is because it also protects one of your minions. So it's a combination. It's like 3 upsides in one. And with a combination of shielded mini-bot getting back his Divine Shield, it's like you're double dipping in the value of a shielded mini-bot.
Yeah, that is totally unfair for your aggro opponent. And since also the thing is that the downside of the Stormforged Axe is the fact that Shaman doesn't have a lot of healing, so you don't really want to attack 3 times into minions. But Paladin has so much healing that it can actually afford to take all that damage to the face early.
Yeah. So here we see the double knife juggler from Thijs, and if you know that your opponent is running Mech Mage, you can probably assume that those guys will get you the value you want. Especially with in combination with, the True Silver Champion or Sludge Belcher next turn, that could be incredibly strong.
Yeah, Cipher, we don't know his hand, but is probably is starting
not
to
feeling
think
too good
the
about
deck
this.
he's gonna bring next
Yeah.
because first of all, being behind on the board as a Mech Mage player is already super bad, but when you have to use your Frostbolts on minions, it's not even just about the card, but also about the mana that you have to spend that you're not using on building a bigger board. And then afterwards
yeah, you should be... You're right.
Yeah. And then
So
there's
knife juggler here, wow.
Yeah. But I think Coghammer is the MVP. Without Coghammer, those knife jugglers could not have been that safe.
Yeah, definitely not, because it would have been easy to just not... Because the ability of the Coghammer is that against, a control deck, it's not very effective. It's one of those cards that generally sits there pretty much dead, and it's also sometimes even a detriment, because you don't want to be using, you don't want to be giving taunt to things until you've seen a Black Knight. So a lot of the time, against a control deck, that can be a bit problematic, but in situations like this, where we're looking at, mid-range versus aggro, I feel like in this specific case, mid-range Paladin is doing a lot of work with that Coghammer.
Thijs has been unlucky here with his knives, though, because he really wanted to kill the Drake.
Yeah, but he's not afraid of AoE, so I don't think he's really worried about losing this board advantage. It's one of the stickiest boards you can get at this point. Powder Shredder with Sludge Belcher, both of which spawn things that the Knife Juggler will shoot knives with. So it's a combination of great and good at this point for Thijs.
Yeah, and usually Mech Mages don't run board clears anyways, but seeing this Drake, now I'm starting to think that maybe Cypher's deck is a little bit more late game than the all-in Mech Mages that we see on the ladder.
I've seen Drakes come up pretty frequently in tournaments in Mech Mage decks. A little less all-in, as you mentioned, than some of the other versions. But, I mean, I've seen some people run Mechanical Yetis on ladder to go all-in Mech. And the spare parts for Archmage Antonidas, but a lot of tournament decks end up playing Azure Drakes for card draw, just to make sure that, the big weakness of, well, there goes the Mechanical Yeti. The big weakness of aggro decks is once you lose the card draw, there's no way you're going to be able to keep pressure anymore.
Yeah.
Oh!
That knife.
Every day I'm juggling. I don't exactly know how how this is a recoverable situation for Cipher, losing his Drake. Not the biggest blow, because that he would have still, likely lost it to either of the other cards that Thijs could have played, even the Cog Hammer. But now the Quartermaster making this board just incredibly sticky. The 3/3s don't even die to Blast Mages anymore. Unless Flame Strike is a tech card that Cipher is somehow playing, I think this game is going to go to Thijs. He's way too high on health at the moment.
I feel like Thijs could have played around Flame Strike though, because that's the only way he loses at this point.
Yeah, but he's got the
maybe-
True Summer Champion and double attack, and then he wins.
Yeah. Oh, and he has an owl in case of a second in Orchon, so you're totally right.
Hello! Yeah, this is not... He's gonna Blast Mage here and hope for the best, but, I mean, come on. Those 3/3s are now just unremovable. And he concedes. Well played, he says. I mean, it's pretty obvious at some point after the double juggler Cog Hammer opener. It's really, really tough for Cipher to come back in the game and keep applying pressure when you consider all the healing Paladin has. It's like a mix of... The defensive power of Cog Hammer is excessively strong against Mech Mage, and I think that's a really nice card for Thijs to put in. It's not a card you see in every single, mid-range pally.
Yeah, and so Cipher has Druid and Warrior left. So what do you think he's going to bring against this kind of weird Paladin, actually?
Yeah, it depends how the deck from Thijs is built, but from what we saw, it's very, it's not as control heavy as some other Paladin lists that we've seen in the past. It's not going to the late game too heavily. So depending on what exactly he expects his opponent to be on, because again, it depends what type of Druid was brought here by Cipher. Does he have, the double combo Druid? Or did he bring something a little more akin to, super heavy ramp? In which case, things could be a bit problematic if he doesn't get equalities for Thijs. So it's really just about seeing what kind of build it is. But if it's double combo Druid, then I think Paladin, considering the amount of early game that he's got, it'll hinge on Wild Growth and how fast he can ramp to that mid game.
Yeah, I think it's actually a hard choice because both Warrior and Druid have a hard time dealing with the Shredders.
Yeah.
So it really depends, like you say, on how he built his decks.
Yeah, I mean, Paladin
And,
Shredders are going to be everywhere, regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah, like...
So he has to get an early board control. He just can't let Paladin establish a board with the mini-bots, the jugglers, and then go into the Shredders. Because you want to have minions on the board to trade with those Shredders. You can't really rely on your weapons or removal spells.
Yeah, it's
only.
one of those things where, I mean, the Shredders are a card that, if he's playing aggressive Druid lists, right? We've seen decks that run Shredders and Druid. Obviously, they stick around with much like Harvest Golems and Haunted Creepers. They'll give you more bodies if you're playing, the hyper-aggressive Druid deck to go for that early Savage Roar combo. And I think in this specific circumstance, unless consecrations are gotten or shielded mini-bots are found, this is the kind of early snowball advantage that could happen for Cipher. But he goes for his control warrior, or wait, his warrior.
Yeah,
we
have no idea.
Oh, well, it's
Looks
control
though, but there's a Spellbreaker, and I like it.
Yeah, I think it's better than RBK Owl. Now that Undertaker is out of the picture, Spellbreaker is making a resurgence in control decks because it is the bulkier silence, which makes a lot of sense because you've got time now. You don't have to rush to actually live.
Yeah.
Fiery War Axe going to be a lot of help for that Knife Juggler. This hand from Cipher is actually very, very strong. He's curving out nearly perfectly. He can even deal with a Paladin Shredder very effectively.
Yeah, and since he expects to play the Acolyte, he chooses to play the War Axe this turn, which is a pretty good choice, I think.
Yeah, and
Because now-
Thijs, though, gonna have to be playing very slowly.
Yeah, Thijs turn's very awkward. But he can still get a... if he can get a Quartermaster for turn 5, he might be in a good spot, though.
But if you look at the board right now, I mean, Knife Juggler is out of the question. Playing a 1-1 puts your opponent in a position where he might want to be using his Fiery War Axe, but he also telegraphed that he wants to play Acolyte of Pain turn 3. So do you really want to spawn a 1-1? So it's like a mix of 3 decisions that he has to make, none of which are particularly interesting. And if you put 1-1 now, sure you can coin Paladin Shredder on the following turn, but it's not going to be enough to deal with that War Axe. So he opts not to give the card draw to Cipher.
Yeah, I think waiting and coining the Shredder next turn is a pretty good choice. And then I guess you hope that you get something with 3 attack out of your Shredder.
Yeah, this is an amazing case of mind games because we saw that, you know, Cipher plays his War Axe, Thijs says, okay, that means he's got Acolyte of Pain, and then Thijs realizes, if I put a 1-1 down, I'm gonna get punished, because I really don't have a way to deal with that Acolyte. If I had True Silver Champion, I mean, I'd be happy to just coin it out and kill the Acolyte of Pain, but that wasn't the case.
This mini bot would have been so great last turn.
Yeah, it would have been great on curve, but I mean, I feel like the Piloted Shredder is still doing an amazing job here. And I don't think Cipher can afford to Spellbreak this, knowing Tyrion might come out. I think you have to keep your Spellbreaker for Tyrion Forging.
Yeah, but can you... Yeah. But at the same time, the Spellbreaker here is such a tempo play. Maybe...
Yeah, he's
Because
got no
if-
really good answer to it.
Yeah, if you have the board as Warrior, you don't really mind about Tyrion, because you can kill it, and then if you have HP, you don't really mind Ashbringer.
You know what? I feel like attacking that Shredder, taking 4 damage, then armoring up, and perhaps Shield Slamming, whatever comes out of it, might be viable. Because between your Shield Slam and the 1-3, you should be able to kill whatever comes out of this, unless it's like Millhouse Mana Storm. There you go. See, Shield Slam is a, you know, semi-viable option here. Yeah, I think this is definitely... It's not you know, a prime Shield Slam target, but the Fiery War Axe being able to take out the first half of the Shredder means that the efficiency of the Shredder was slightly mitigated, and there comes the True Silver Champion. That's
Pretty good
exactly
here.
what Thijs wanted to see last turn, but he got it this turn perfectly fine. Gonna give only 1 card to Cipher, who's not gonna be able to capitalize on the projected card advantage.
Yeah, Deathbite though is really going to help on this, and the Belcher is pretty good against True Silver Champion, because it doesn't die.
Yeah, I'm looking at Cypher's hand right now, and he's already gearing up for an amazing late game. Baron
Yeah.
Geddon and Dr. Boom offer, you know, either he wants to be defensive with Geddon and reactive, or proactive with the Dr. Boom, which gives him a lot of really strong, you know, lines of play. Very few good lines of play here, like
Yeah,
this.
and turn 7 Boom into Baron Geddon is super strong, because it actually kills the BGH, so...
Yeah.
Sure, you lose your Dr. Boom, but then you have Baron Geddon and you have Ragnaros, so you do want this big game to hit Dr. Boom, because you keep the bombs anyways.
Yeah, Cipher now going to be a little worried about the potential of a Quartermaster on the following turn. Lucky for him,
Yeah.
there is none in Thijs' hand, and I think the Fiery War Axe, just taking out that Juggler is going to make him feel a little safer. Very, very interesting situation here for Cipher, who has to decide probably over, like, do you just play your Deathbite and set up
Yeah, he
an
could
AoE for the
Deathbite.
following turn?
That might be his best choice, because, yeah, actually, if he plays Deathbite right now, kills the Juggler, even if Thijs plays the Quartermaster, then he hits the face next turn and plays Baron Geddon and clears all the tokens.
Exactly, but apparently he's not too worried about that. He'll just remove most of the 1-1s with the slime. I mean, one of the 1-1s with the slime, which is going to let him on the following turn play Geddon and get a very similar result, ultimately. Alright, another Paladin Shredder here for Thijs, but it's feeling a little weaker, but you still have to play it. I feel like Shielded Mini-Bot and Shredder... Oh, you can't play BGH. What is Thijs doing? Do not hover over that thing.
I have no idea what
Do
he's
not.
hovering over it.
Yeah, I think he's no.
No,
No.
you're against controller. There's no way.
There's no way he plays that.
Like
Okay.
I could see you playing the BGH on board against, say, Zoo when you don't expect late game, but against controller you have way too many targets.
Yeah, there's no way he plays that. All right.
If you could run 3 of the BGHs, you'd do it. So you definitely don't play one without Valkyrie.
So my question is, do you play a 1-1 or Shielded Mini-Bot? All right, he does play a 1-1. I think it protects him pretty well against both the Brawl and Baron Geddon in a way. And I like that he opted for that thing, because one of the best ways to put Warrior on a really, really high pressure regimen is to just oh no. Oh no, the freeze. Oh, the
Check it.
freeze.
Oh,
So
The knight.
he has to big game hunter this, doesn't he?
totally, for sure. Oh, the Quartermaster.
One turn too late. So a good thing Cipher got rid of those minions. But now Dr. Boom is going to be somewhat, you know, uncontested at this point. The Consecration going to be helpful. Do you think Cipher develops the Fiery War Axe to trigger an AoE? Or does he just play Dr. Boom? I think there are
basically-
2 decent lines of play here.
like if he plays the War Axe, he kills the freeze, which is extremely important.
Mhm.
But he only gets sort of 3 damage. So how is that really lowering the pressure? Because if he does that, he still takes 6. If he
Oh goodness, he takes There's a lot of damage surprisingly on Thijs' board. I mean, if you notice, Cipher hasn't armored up pretty much all game outside of that one turn, which is really
Yeah.
unusual. And I guess that's what happens when you're facing mid-range paladin with really nice juggler shielded mini bot openers. You've gotta take that phase damage.
yeah, so do you play Dr. Boom and hope for the best with the bombs? Do you play the War Axe and then execute the 4-2 because
Do you play Dr.
don't
Boom
know-
and execute afterwards? What about that? How's that for play? There you go. He actually
Okay.
does exactly this. So this is going to contest the board. But if you look right now on Thijs' side, he's got 8 damage sitting right here.
Oh,
Oh,
and the
wow.
Aldor top deck.
Okay.
This looks
Wait,
so bad for
Aldor? Oh god, this is... I wouldn't like this if I were Cipher, but
Cypher. Definitely not.
it just takes like a shield maiden. 'Cause, I mean, if you Aldor Peacekeeper Dr. Boom and Quartermaster, it's going to give you a bit of damage output. You can't really afford... I mean, you could Tyrion. I guess it's one of the strongest tempo swings, but I mean, those boom bots are going to be really problematic, so you might have to go for a consecration turn here. He could actually wipe this board, you know, BGH and the 1-1 into Dr. Boom, then you consecrate, low chances of your shielded mini-bot dying, and then you can resume the aggression.
But yeah, I agree that you either have to play Tyrion or clear, because if you play Quartermaster, Aldor, like you said, you play into Brawl, and that's pretty bad.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like Tyrion can be pretty good, because even if your opponent kills that Tyrion by Black Knighting, you get a 15 damage weapon.
Yeah, and there he's actually playing...
Yeah.
Oh, wow, the perfect boombot, not touching a single minion here.
Wow.
For Cipher, that's a really unfortunate boombot, and, I mean, Cipher's hand is not terrible, but that Tyrion is going to put him in a world of hurt, because all he wants to do at this point is deny the possibility of an Ashbringer, because that's 5 damage he can actually dish out right afterwards. And I can't actually think of a way for Cipher to get out of this. I mean, he has to Spellbreak Tyrion, and then I think... Is this it? How does he actually kill both the 4-2 and the 2-2 and Tyrion at the same time? And live through Ashbringer? I cannot think of a way.
Yeah, so you have to silence and then...
Attack the BGH with your face? Or attack the 2-2 with your face?
No. Oh, he's 1 minute off of actually equipping Deathbite and then equipping, the Fiery War Axe
Yeah.
to clear the minions.
So no Ashbringer here, but he's gonna have to take another 4 damage to the face straight up. Loses Dr. Boom to his own AoE. And
The pain.
This is not good. Wait, he's 1 off lethal.
1 off.
Oh goodness.
Well, Lothar feels pretty good.
Yeah, I'd play Lothar here to avoid any AoE, but I feel like Cipher could still come back. He's really close to getting it done.
Yeah, what if he top decks Alex Straza? That would be...
Oh, that would be disgustingly strong.
Yeah.
But then there's an Aldor Peacekeeper, so she won't do as much work as he'd like. And it's surprising right now how much work Light's Justice has done. You think about those 1 damage pings here, just whittling down at the armor, whittling down here and there, some of the minion health, the slimes earlier. Really, really important Light's Justice value.
Yeah. I mean, getting 4 damage out of a 3-minute spell is already pretty decent, and you get the 1-1s that Warrior has a really, really hard time clearing.
Yep, and now he's gonna pray that Ragnaros does not go face.
Oh,
So
it's
this
50-50.
YOLO Rag, yeah. 50-50,
Does Cypher
so-
see another day?
and
No,
this is
he
it.
does
Cypher
not.
Yeah, Cipher is probably going to concede. He was pretty quick on it last turn. Nope, he did not. Okay, I'm surprised. I thought he... And the BM here from Thijs. Why equip the weapon? Come on, Thijs.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
I guess this is not a lot of information given, because you totally expect double Show Silver out of any paladin. It's auto-include, so...
yeah, but he could have attacked with Lothab and just ended the game. You know what it would... Like, this BM I will rate 1 out of 10, because he could have Aldor Peacekeeper'd his Lothab, Ironbeak Aldit back to full, then attacked Ragnaros, then played True Silver Champion to hit face. So I think he actually misplayed that BM. I'm gonna say he's not very good at BMing. Thijs is not a BM master.
Maybe actually Ties went for good matters, I think, because by showing that True Silver, you're like, well, don't be salty. Even if you killed my Loathib, you would have died anyways. So don't be too harsh.
Okay, yeah, I see that. So it's just saying that regardless of the outcome of that Ragnaros hit, either way you would have lost. So don't
Yeah,
worry
exactly.
too much about it. Okay,
Yeah.
I see your point. You know that makes a lot of sense. Thanks for clearing that up. All right, so this is currently 1-1, I believe. One win for the Mech Mage. Well, actually 2-1.
No, it's 2-1. 2-1 for
2-1
Ties.
for Thijs. Thijs is actually 2-1 in the series. His Paladin beat the Mech Mage and the Control Warrior. And I'm surprised Control Warrior was brought out against this specific deck because Control Warrior has a really hard time dealing with some of the more early aggro Paladin decks if they don't find the brawl. I guess Cipher thought it might have been a better matchup because Ram Druid is so weak to equalities. So I have to assume that Cipher is running some kind of Ram Druid here.
Yeah, because I mean, if Cypher's Control Warrior looked really late game, I'm not even sure if he's running Whirlwind. And against Muster for Battle, if you don't have an answer, you just die as Warrior.
Yeah.
And
Which
the one
is exactly why I was surprised to see it come out
Yeah.
as opposed to Druid.
But I don't know. Maybe he misinterpreted Thijs' deck. Thought it was more late game, so he wanted to outlast it, and didn't.
But he
expect
saw the
it to die so
jugglers,
fast.
right?
Yeah, he did. But I mean, the current Paladin lists are so.
I mean, it's like there's so
They're
much
diverse.
possibilities, right?
Like those jugglers could be just because of the Muster for Battle synergy, and then you wouldn't have an aggro follow up. It's still pretty good.
But
Kind
he
of like
saw the shielded mini bots against the mage. So I mean, he saw all the deck of Thijs, and yet he went with Warrior, which I think is actually pretty weak unless you're guaranteed to get Brawl. If you get Brawl on curve, or if you get really good Armor Smiths early on with Whirlwinds, then that's a different story. So maybe the deck list of Cipher contained those cards, and he just didn't get them, which would also explain, why he went for that specific deck list.
yeah, and I mean, he drew all the late game early, so.
Double
I
Wild
don't know.
Growth.
Oh wow. and he has a combo, so Wild Growth thing towards combo is pretty good. Oh wow.
Are you kidding me? This is disgusting.
Job's done.
Oh goodness. He's playing double combo.
Wow.
Are
Okay,
you
so
kidding?
Cypher's hand is either going to be disgustingly good or disgustingly bad.
Depending on the
depending on-
follow-ups, yeah.
Yeah. If he can have a follow-up for this shade and actually get a Force of Nature,
Uh-oh.
that would be insane.
Actually, he needs a swipe as soon as possible. He
Oh, wow.
needs nothing but a swipe right now. I'm looking at this muster for battle, and I don't think this shade will live on.
Do you play the shade? I think it's 50-50, right?
You know, I feel really awkward about playing my shade here. I almost want to Savage Roar that juggler, but I can't do it.
Oh wow.
This
If
is
you Savage
so-
Roar the juggler, you basically show that you run double combo because
You throw
if you
one.
run single combo, you don't. Oh, and the my greetings. I think both
luck.
players know that the game's going to be decided right here, right now.
Yeah.
Pretty
This
much.
is a really massive, turn for... Uh-oh.
Oh,
And
Oh.
to the face!
it lives! Oh.
Alright, Cipher still has a chance. I
Oh.
was putting him out of this game, but this is suddenly turning around,
No.
and he gets a perfect
wow.
curve with the Shredder play.
Do you?
This is insane. Wait, what?
Oh, draw 3 cards. Wait,
This is insane. The card draw
this.
advantage is going to be incredible.
I like this.
And Spectral Knight. And
Wow.
Druid of the Claw. Wow, his mid-range Druid deck is going to spiral out of control very soon. You just wait.
Cipher fished for turn 5 and he got 3. It's not too bad. Oh, this
Oh.
Quartermaster.
So wait, you have to pick a play here, and I feel like the Shredder contests the board the best, because whatever taunt he plays in the mid range, like in the mid game, if he doesn't have swipe here, your Quartermaster is at least guaranteed to get you a value. Because if he plays a minion and he kills only a 1/1, you still get 2 3/3s, right? So it
Yeah,
doesn't
and he-
matter what minion he plays here, you're still fine with this.
The
No
Quartermaster
swipe, you
is
win.
huge. There is.
Wow.
I think Cipher is going to be really, really far behind next turn because Quartermaster is going to be huge and Druid just doesn't have board clears.
He doesn't have any swipes right now. I think the play is Root of the Claw into a 1-1 and the 5-4 into a 1-1, and then you leave it at that.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, even though the Quartermaster is going to get value, if you look at the current board state, I think Cypher's follow-ups are also going to be able to put a massive amount of pressure, and Thijs has to be worried about combo. He sees Spectral Knight. He knows that is a very, very, that is very indicative of at least one combo, possibly two. I don't remember seeing Spectral Knight in very many decks that didn't run combo. So Thijs is definitely going to put his opponent on that, and he's got a perfect clear now. Quartermaster, Shredder plus a 3-3 into a Spectral Knight, 3-3 into Harrison Jones, then with a 2-5 and a minion from Shredder.
Or do you just simply Aldor one of these, like you Aldor the Spectral Knight, and then you
trade?
leave. But
You could
with-
juggle an Aldor.
yeah,
Let's see what he
Okay,
gets
so-
with the Shredder.
An
Not
owl.
what he wanted. Uh-oh. Okay. Wow,
So
do you
for-
have to Quartermaster this?
Move quickly.
I mean, Quartermaster lets you trade, but it's so... You haven't seen Swipe, though, you know? So you do feel somewhat okay. You can't... Can you trade? You have to trade, but you can't trade, because if you do, then you're giving him time to replenish his board and then go for combo wins. Right now, he's on the defensive.
yeah, I like putting pressure here from Thijs because Druid is going to have a hard time clearing this anyways. So you don't want to give the Spectral Knight Wind Fury by sending both of your minions into it.
Yeah. I like the comparison with Wind Fury here, because if you trade two guys into it, then you're essentially giving him two pieces of removal for one card.
Exactly. And with Cypher's HP at 15, he's going to have to use his minions for clearing. He's not even close to having lethal, so
Yeah.
he's going to be forced to remove with the Spectral Knight, so might as well not do it for him.
I never thought I'd see the day where Paladin would be able to outpressure a mid-range Druid, but I mean, it's happening. Those shielded mini-bots, those knife jugglers, that muster for battle with Quartermaster, really shaping the game right now.
Yeah. Oh, wow, and this owl.
Hmm.
I guess you just silence the Shredder because you don't expect
You
you
juggle.
don't expect Ancient of Wars anyways out of this deck, so you're not really gonna have a better target than this.
My question is, do you even trade, or you just keep going face for 5 damage? Because you could... Oh, wow, the hit actually enables the Quartermaster to trade, which is
Yeah.
probably the perfect hit for the juggler here. And not even... I mean, he hasn't seen Swipe, so is he still worried about it? Yeah, an actual mistake?
I don't know, because at this point, getting your 3-3 for that 4-3 is really good value. And you have Boom in hand, so are you really that eager
Yeah.
to finish the game?
I
do you
think
just
Boom
like
is the
value?
determining factor. Boom is exactly what makes Thijs want to do what he's doing right now.
Yeah.
Oh, developing a taunt here. Actually, the swipe for Dr. Boom is going to give him a little bit more of an easier time to deal with the Boom bots. Not an amazing one, but an easier... Uh-oh.
Oh.
So this is the end.
Yeah, Boom's gonna seal the deal here.
Yeah, I don't know how Cipher is supposed to... Well, I mean, oh, come on now, this is insane. It's not going
Well,
to save him, but actually, no, he's dead if he does that.
No, yeah, if he swipes, even if he hero powers the Boombots
He's
and
dead.
Consecrate, are most likely lethal.
Does he have to heal with Ancient of Lore? 7?
He does if he dies, right?
No, he
No,
lives,
no,
but
He
he
lives,
lives
but
long
he dies
enough
in
to...
Boombots.
Yeah.
So
He... I thought Cipher had a really good start, but that juggler muster for battle opener,
yeah,
no
Like,
swipe.
either-
If Cipher had found a swipe earlier, that would have been an entirely different outcome.
either way, Cipher has to gamble on Bomb's RNG here, whether he hits his face or he goes for swipe or taunt.
I'm actually a little. Oh, ouch, ouch, ouch.
Well, that's game.
Yeah, that is game over here for Cipher, who's going to lose 3 games to a Paladin deck.
Yeah, Paladin pretty
Wow.
strong.
Thijs' mid-range paladin just taking the games off of Cipher, killing a mech mage, the control warrior, as should be expected in many ways. And then the mid-range druid just not able to pack enough aggression early on, or early enough, to actually contest the knife juggler plays from Thijs. Really strong opener for both players, but I feel like that muster for battle really sealed the game there. No swipes to counter it, really changed the entire course of the game.
Yeah, and so Cipher now is down in the losers bracket. He's gonna have to win his next 2 matches if he wants to be in tomorrow's finals, and
Yep.
Thijs only has to win one other match
Yep.
for today.
So awkward silence. All right, so I'm getting a word from the admin in my ears. You guys can't see it, but you think I'm schizophrenic when I'm smiling to myself. We actually are going to be taking a short break. In the meantime, I invite you to go check out facebook.com/madcats.german to actually see Madcats' hardware. They're doing giveaways. You just have to go on their Facebook page and look at some of that stuff. We'll be right back afterwards with another match. I believe the next opponents are going to be Nimsh versus Kranich, unless I'm mistaken, which should be an exciting series because Nimsh always he tends to bring really interesting decks with slight tweaks to some existing archetypes, which I do like to see. So be right back.
We're not going to see Nimsh versus Kranich because this game was
in my ears
next match
again.
Next match is going to be Carlos versus Reynad because Nimsh versus Kranich was played at the same time. So this is going to be a very interesting match. So we're going to actually jump to Group B. And
yeah, should be cool. Reynad, bring out your water, guys. The sodium levels will be high. Be right back.
Yeah.
calling